All right, welcome to the Rebuilding Futures podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Kenneth Young. We have Elric Truvillion in the building, Mr. Aaron Charles, and we have a special guest with us today, Mr. Fred Holley.
Yes, sir. What's going on? Thank you guys for having me today.
Absolutely, man. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to the show, brother. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you.
So today, we're just taking a step back. The primary focus of our efforts is to focus on rebuilding futures. And there's a lot of futures that need to be rebuilt, right? There's a lot of people that have opportunities out there. And although we share a unique story amongst three of us, being Elric, Scoop, Christopher Shankle, Shank, and myself, just being our backgrounds and overcoming that. Not everybody has that same story, right? Somebody's victory story has nothing to do with those types of hardships. And really, I have to say those self-imposed hardships, because everything is a choice in this world. Sometimes overcoming is just based on the things that you do, some adversity that you have in life. And it could be just overcoming some obstacles in your life in order to get you from one place to another. And so that's why we invited Fred. Fred's a good guy, man. I'll tell you this. Met this young man some years ago and has just grown to be a part of our family, and just in a very organic way. But his story is unique, right? Hails from California, right? Just another California transplant to Texas. I know some of y'all are thinking, but he came a different way. His pathway was a little bit different, and he routed in some really significant things in his life and was a change agent for himself. The reason that he's here at the show isn't just because we have a friendship and a kinship. It's because this is an overcomer and somebody who absolutely refuses to lose. So for all you listeners out there, we know we can't hear it, probably can't see it, but I want y'all to just go ahead and put your ears together and just give a good listening applause to my man, Freddie Holley right here. Freddie, thank you, man. Tell him a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. I appreciate that introduction. Exactly kind of how you said, originally from Southern California. I really never thought that I would be way out here in Texas, but my journey, right, it started in Southern California at about 10 years old. My father, he kind of made the commitment to me to, start. It was all about finding something growing up in, like a poverty situation, to where, how can I escape, right? How can I provide my son with these tools to be able to create a better life?
Right.
I would never say that I grew up, not having, clothes on my back or, missing any meals or anything like that. But there was a point in time to where, I do remember growing up and Christmas time coming around and seeing my parents scramble around and trying to figure out, financially, how can we get our kids X, Y, and Z every Christmas or Thanksgiving or birthdays, and seeing, that sad face on my siblings' faces, kind of being ungrateful, or, hey, why can't we do X, Y, and Z? And why can't, and not understanding that, hey, they're just under, they're under a high pressure, right? We're living in Southern California, one of the most expensive places to live. So it's,
You had a big family too?
yeah, big family, 5 total siblings. So it's, me, and then I got 4 other ones. So 2 brothers, 2 sisters. But my parents, they really went hard just trying to provide for us. So at the age of 10 years old, I got into, sports and athletics, because we understood that, hey, this was quote unquote going to be your ticket to get an opportunity, to create a better life for yourself. But at that young age, the reason why I brought up that point of seeing my parents, strife and struggle to, provide for us, at a young age, I think I was maybe not even 10 years old, but there's a couple of points in my life where I felt something in my heart.
So it affected you. You saying that's a point that you can look back on your life and realize that it affected you in a certain way.
Exactly. I would say a pivotal moment, right? A moment to where I felt saddened, right? That, because I understood the struggle. I don't know how, but I seen their pain. I seen that look when, the sibling, their kids, right? Why can't we? Why this, that, and they want more and more and more. But hey, guys, this is it. This is it. We're giving it our all. So there was, a bunch of times I'm telling my parents as a child, hey guys, you don't have to worry about, don't even give me anything for Christmas. Or don't give me anything, at this time or that time, make sure they can have it at a young age. So I feel like I got a chance to grow up really fast in a short time period. So I was always, I don't know how, but kind of cut a little bit different. But
So let me ask you this real quick. So in the sibling line, where are you? Are you first, middle, last? Where are you?
yeah, so I'm the oldest. So the oldest, and I always kind of say the oldest is kind of like the
Experiment kid.
you know it. That's one thing that I'm learning now, man. Look back at my parents and understand, and as you grow a little bit older, you understand like they're living their first lives as well. So you can't necessarily, fault them on, oh, you could have did this or you could have did that. They're out there figuring it out, with us.
So what was it like out there in Cali, man? You said Southern California, right?
Yeah, Southern California.
SoCal,
baby.
Right.
Man,
The sun always shining.
It's always shining.
Rolling Hill.
But, to dig into that, because I think that's a huge piece. Again, like I mentioned, always was provided for, always had food and clothes, but I mean, Section 8, housing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Government assistance. So, and again, I seen that stuff, and it was the rat race, right? It's a struggle to provide. And again, I think that truly it creates pain, it created pain into me. And that's why I use the sports as my outlet, or something that I can just put all my energy and effort into. Cause I think it took me to get out of the state of California and to travel and do other things to understand like, hey, there's more out there than just this. Right, because what I'm seeing is, I had friends, a bunch of
like gang bang and all that in Southern California too.
So I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question because I'm real curious and I believe in these type of things. It's kind of personal. So, what month was you born in?
May.
Okay, May is a good month. And the reason why I ask you that because your upbringing and the way you thought and the way you looked at things, I believe that the people that are born in the first 6 months of the year have that type of understanding about struggle in the family. You get what I'm saying? Because when people are born later on in the year, just imagine how much of the time of the world in life that you have seen. You see what I'm saying? So a person born in January, in the same year, we're talking about two people born in the same year versus a person born in February or December.
Well, that's real deep. I look at it a little bit different. For me, I look at it like his folks, no disrespect, but they just like having sex in the summer because they just like sex in the summer because that boy was conceived around August somewhere around. Right. Depending on if he came early or not. You know what I'm saying? If he came early, he might have been a June, July type of situation. That sounds like summer sex right there.
Yeah, but and for you to be able to understand lifestyle and struggle and know that you don't want to put a burden on your parents. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
To be able to say, okay, Mom, I don't want this right now. You know what I'm saying? Versus most kids your age will go outside and see a kid at that point in time it was Chuck Taylor's.
Well, now hold on now.
Well, I ain't gonna tell you.
It might be felines or something like that. For your era is Chuck Taylor. Don't put that evil on nobody in this room. Don't put that evil on nobody.
And so you didn't go back in the house and ask your mom, hey Mom, I want these, feelers or these Chuck Taylors or these Nikes. Instead you just got what you got. You didn't put that pressure on your parents to make them have to get more for you. I get that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's real. I actually just recently had a conversation with one of my buddies about that same thing, about being born in a certain month, I agree though. I definitely think that has something to do with it, but yeah.
So you talked about leaving, Fred. Let me jump in here with you. You talked about when you left Cali and were exposed to different things, but you left Cali in a unique way. Not everybody gets the type of ride that you took. So right before you left Cali, just talk about some of the things that you had going on, because I know that in high school when you were playing ball, because you played a little bit of Little League and then made it all the way up after going through fundamentals with your dad like you shared.
Exactly.
And in high school, you were an absolute rock star. Right, over 5,000 yards in one season. I mean, just killing. In the career of your high school, and like 60. How many touchdowns? Like 63 touchdowns, 64 touchdowns. Yeah. So I mean, hell of a career in high school. So talk to us about what took place during that time, and if the guidance and stuff that you had. Let's rock.
Yeah, absolutely. So to kind of give everybody a little bit of context, again, back to me starting at the age of 10 years old, the reason why that piece is so important is because, I grew up with a father that had a very relentless mentality. And my whole upbringing was, hey, you're behind the 8 ball because, Aaron, he started playing football when he was 4 years old. He started in flag. So I feel like all of my life, I've been behind the 8 ball. So I've had that chip on my shoulder. So my father's mentality, right, it was all about how can we make up for the missed time, right? And how we did that was the extra work. It's the extra working out, waking up at 5 a.m., running these hills, hitting the sands. And
That's it.
it's so funny because, we're going to the local parks, in like the kind of like the project kind of community where I grew up, and you have, the guys watching us. And I remember almost the humiliation of these people watching me. And because again, I'm so different. They don't know what the hell I'm doing. They're like, why is he running these hills? Why is he doing all this extra training? Like, what is it all about? And people making fun of me. And then, a couple of years later, these guys are incarcerated, I'm doing drugs, in the streets. And I'm seeing this all in real time as I'm growing up through middle school, high school, and these people are falling off. But one thing that my father always told me is like, man, you can't do the same thing that everybody is doing because you're cut from a different cloth. You're going a different place. But yeah, he's right. So we leveraged the work, right? Putting in the time, work, effort, and energy. And then by the time I got to high school, there was nobody anywhere across the country that couldn't have told me that I wasn't going to play Division I football at a high level. I knew that already because I put in the time, effort, and energy.
Right.
Right. And I was blessed to, be one of California's leading rushers, I believe top 5 every single one of my high school years. So, got a chance to do some pretty phenomenal things there, and was blessed with, I had scholarship offers from Arizona State, a bunch of.
So you was a blue chip.
Yeah. I was a 3-star athlete, and, getting catered to all these trips. And
man, I bet you wish you was in the era where they was paying you in college, huh, man? Cutting checks to boys, right?
I just missed a whole bunch of money, man. I'm looking for another year to go back home again.
Come on, Dion. Come on, Dion. You hear us out here. Come on, Dion. Come get this boy.
What do you say? It ain't hard to find me, baby.
Right. So, hey, who were you looking at? Like as a young star athlete, who was the pro? Who was the guy that you were saying, if I could just run like him, hit like him, train like him, then it's going to increase my trajectory?
Yeah, I think it probably would surprise a lot of people because, again, my pops, he's so old school, man. We go back to the VHS because, again, we didn't come for money. So I'm VHS, old school TV with the 3-wire setup. But
come on, Barry Sanders.
Yeah, Barry Sanders. I'm talking about, Walter Payton.
Yes, sir.
All the OGs, watching those guys. So as a young kid, I was looking at the people that was really doing it. Like, this is who I want to be with, not these, whoever it was at the time. But I was always so infatuated with that because that's who my father loved. And again, that's who I wanted to aspire to be like. I wanted to like what he liked.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. All right. So, just a young struggler, had some good guidance, had a relentless father, came up from a young man running the hills and the sands, and then you went to high school and were a pro athlete. You said you leveraged your efforts. You leveraged the work and it turned into something, right? And so where did that take you to?
Yeah. I would say it took me to my first humbling experience, right? I put in so much time, energy, effort, and then I get to this platform to where, again, it's, hey, you're starting at the bottom again. You got guys. I ended up going to the University of Hawaii. Not a bad place to be. Ended up, of course, full scholarship there, and got there honestly with a little bit of cockiness and arrogance, and not really understanding the dynamic of, for one, these are grown men. For two, everybody that's in this room, just like in this room, everybody was a dog or the best at the highest level wherever they came from. So it took some adapting and some competitive nature to understand that dynamic. But redshirted my first year. The second year ended up getting a chance to play. We did some big things, game-winning touchdowns, winning bowl games and stuff like that. But I think that's that competitive nature, that college dynamic, man. I was humbled.
So your daddy built you for life.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I think a huge factor of my story is always recreating myself, right? I feel like when I transitioned and I went into college, I thought, I hit a certain level of confidence. And because, again, I already know, hey, I put in this work, so this is why I'm confident.
Right.
But I got to college, and college at that point, honestly, you're a professional athlete, right? The way you train, the way you eat, the way you sleep, this is you breathe football, you eat it every single day. And I had to man, did I have to dig 10 times deeper than I ever did in my life. I had to fight 10 times harder just to get an opportunity to get on the field, right?
Right. So it went from being the star, the one that they're going to call and put in is no question, and other people just barely getting a chance to swap you out so you can catch your breath, get a little bit of rest, to being a competitor, not only against the other team, but against your teammates for the spot. Exactly. Right? Like you competed for the chance to compete all over again.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that was a huge lesson to me, because I feel like kind of growing up in that same environment that I grew up with, in most people, they have what I call a victim mentality.
Yeah.
Right. And the reason why I bring up the victim mentality is because I could have went to college, and like most people do, a lot of guys get humbled. Oh, I was a 5-star and all this and that. Nobody gives a crap. You get here, let's play some ball. Let's see who, can really make it happen. But I say that because that's going to be the first time you get hit with the true adversity, meaning really the coach, you can be better than me, but I'm a little bit older. I understand the playbook, the X's and O's of the game, and he's going to choose me over you because, you're immature. You need to develop in X, Y, and Z areas. And so I see so many people, instead of rising to the occasion, they end up silently quitting, not literally quitting off the team, but they fall off and they die because they can't handle that adversity. And that's what I went through. I had to learn how to because I'm like, well, I'm putting in the work and I'm showing up, I'm doing the extra. And in my head, how I grew up, I'm like, well, if you put in the work, it's guaranteed. And that was the first time it was like, no, man, you put in this time, effort, and energy just to get an opportunity. And then when you get the opportunity, it's about execution. You have to be the best performer when the money's on the line. Coach don't care if, I had a test today or I'm hurt, or it's like, hey, you want to play ball or not, man? I got 5-6 other guys that's ready to get after it. So that was a huge lesson that I learned. You put time, effort, and energy, but let's execute on a high level at that.
Right. So it's not just about the physical thing. So, I just want to kind of pair this up, if you don't mind. So the way that you explain this is real similar to the way that I could just explain life in general, right? Like there's a lot of people out there who don't play the game of football, but the story that you're sharing is applicable across so many different lines and lifestyles, because you're just talking about being a person who came up, right? Maybe a child learned something. Maybe they excelled in education rather than in sports. And then they got to college and it was a tougher game and it's all an equal playing field, but you got to work really hard, just to have the same type of grades and really, really push, because you don't know who the professors are going to be and they have no regard for you, right? And then you get to a place where you feel like it might be too much because you're in graduate school now, baby. It's the big league. So it sounds like it was more of a mental strain on you than it was a physical strain, just like a lot of us go through out here just doing life one-on-one.
Exactly. No, absolutely. And again, that I feel like that lesson, it makes people or it breaks people. And it's the pivotal moment in your life to where, either you back down or you turn up and you rise to the occasion. Because again, how you mentioned, it doesn't matter if you're in, the medical field or you're in the sports arena or you're a lawyer. It's all about rising to the occasion and just execution at a high level.
So let me ask you a question. So was it ever a time that you actually wanted to say, okay, I quit?
Yeah, it's actually funny that you said that, because again, you gotta look at the situation from my perspective. A guy, I'm a damn near a 4-star coming into Hawaii, which that was one of the schools that had offered me. It was a smaller school. I had cockiness. I'm like, hey guys, I had Arizona State, I had Colorado. Look at all these, University of Washington, all these big guys looking at me. And then for me to go into no disrespect to the university, but I'm like, you guys are a smaller school. I'm going to come in here and crush. I'm going to kill it. And then I get in there and get humbled and I'm like, whoa, I get in and I'm already like this. I'm feeding into the politics. Oh, it's the politics and oh, it's this. And almost, honestly, that almost had me spiral out of not being so focused on it. But I had found somebody out there under the name of Kenny Pat. That's my guy. He was a sports trainer that I had kind of found, and he mentored me and, really just brought me back on my feet. Like, hey man, this is the blueprint. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put in back, get back to the basics, and it's all about preparation and execution. But yeah, there was honestly several times to where I was just like, man, maybe it's just not for me. Right. 'Cause I felt like I did everything I was supposed to do, and to still not get that result right away is just like, it's a difficult pill to swallow for sure.
So did you think that having that separation from having your dad present, because, you know, from what I know just from your background, like growing up in Cali, your dad was there the whole time and then you were separate from him, so that day-to-day, you know, dog eat dog mentality, and you know, you share some personal stories with me about he just kind of rough around the edges when y'all were growing up. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he was just all business and always serious about his approach with you guys because he wanted you guys to absolutely win. So we got a little bit of feedback.
Getting some feedback, King.
All right, thank you. Now, so you think that there was anything going on with that separation between you and the person who was like a real driving factor in your life, or what do you think?
I think he kind of, it was like a baton, right? To track me, and I feel like he got a chance to, you know, to pass me off, and I feel like he really gave me everything that he had to offer. It is funny that you bring that up, because before I left, again, I've told you several different stories and, you know, several different occasions. Just, I mean, my pops, he is who he is. He's relentless. That's the best way I love to put it. He's kind of reminds me of the Jackson 5, you know, Joe Jackson.
Right. Even when you're right, you're wrong. Boy,
well, man, he's trying to hear it. But no, he had that mentality. And as I grew up a little old, you know, as a teenager transitioning through high school and getting a little older, he still kind of had that pressure on me, on my neck. Like everything that I would do is just like, you know, I'll show up late to just very minute stuff. He would be like, man, you're not serious. You're not going to make it. So he used reverse psychology to fire me up. Yes. And I didn't need it, though. I was going to do the work anyways. We joke about it now, but I'm like, I would never hate my father, but there was a point in time to where I was like, man, like, he would tell me, like, you're going to be just like me. I'm like, hell no, I ain't going to be just like you. But
that drove you.
But he understood, though, like, you don't want to be like me, right? I'm going so hard because you're better than me.
Right.
You know, having kids, your kids should be better than you. So
right.
I do thank him for that. But I feel like sometimes in a weird way, like I'm almost still healing from like that beating up. He's like, well, Fred can handle it. To my siblings, it's always, well, Fred, I was able to cuss Fred out and look how he
right.
He turned out. But I'm like, I didn't appreciate that.
No, right? Like, that's not a laughing moment right there either, man. But I'm sorry, but God, that's the truth, though.
Me and my wife, we always talk about it, and she's like, so bad. I'm like, you never know. You can't mess with me sometimes because I might snap. I'm like,
right.
You know what I mean? I got a kind of crazy little upbringing, but he used that reverse psychology to fire me up, and we would be arguing just like that. Like, hell no, I'm not, man. Like, I'm gone. So when I left, I was like trying to prove him wrong the whole time. But again, as you get a little bit older, that why changes. It's like, well, I knew I was going to prove him wrong. What's the driving factor now?
So let me ask you about this. So coming up, right, there's guys that get it right and guys that get it wrong. And for the guys that get it wrong, we go through things like what I went through, you know, incarceration and all that. But the guys that get it right, you see us go through this, just like you mentioned earlier. And I have to believe that you guys seeing us go through things makes you say, there's no way in hell that I'm going to do what this dude did and go to the place that he went to. Do you have anybody, obviously you do, but as you were growing up, but is there like a real significant moment, a person that was in your life that either lost their life to incarceration or lost their life to an early grave that affected you and made you say, hey, man, this is one of the reasons why I know, regardless of what anybody teaches me, I just can't go that route?
Yeah, absolutely. Not a famous story, but one of the main stories that I remember growing up, again, how we grew up, you know, where like I literally was next door to like the crazy house folks, like, you know,
man, everybody got one
true halfway house, literally.
Yeah, wow.
So I mean that I feel like that could kind of paint a picture, but like we had growing up, my dad, one of his good friends lived down the street, you know, perfect family, husband, wife, children, and then a couple of months later, that same, you know, their divorce, lost their house, and all of a sudden she's walking past where we live, back and forth, you know, no shoes, doesn't even recognize us anymore. And I'm like, we were just, you know, a couple of months ago at our house, you know, life was good, but
yeah,
see that honestly too many times is just like, I think it does something to you mentally. And then of course the people that I grew up with in high school, middle school, elementary, a lot of those guys, they don't even make it. You know what I mean? They get involved with whether it be the gangs or the drugs, and then we're seeing them on the news, and it's sad to say, but it's never a surprise. The high school that I went to, had a daycare facility, like government-owned school, like.
So high school.
So Fred,
That's high school.
That's a good school right there.
yeah, so I want to cut in here right quick, Fred. I want to cut in here right quick because I hear you saying a lot about California, and to be California is stereotyped. So this whole conversation, you never said anything about gangs. So and the life story you giving me at 10 years old, it had to be some peer pressure, even though your dad had a tight grip on you.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad had a tight grip on you. So let me know and let these listeners know what kept you away from falling victim of gangs.
Man, that's a loaded question. But I think my dad's influence, and every time, because you're right. I mean, all of my friends, the people that I kicked it with, and I see why, looking back at the story now, I'm telling my pops, I'm like, man, like I'm good. And, he like, well, hell, you chilling with, oh boy, he's a boogie, doing this, one of the gangs. And it's like, looking at it now, I understand that dynamic. Like, okay, I can understand why. But again, I think I can just say every time that I was tempted to do something out of my character, it didn't feel right. Like, seriously, I think that's the only way that I can put it. Because, of course, on several different occasions, but I also think, like, when you build the credibility as a person and you're known for doing X, they're going to be like, well, I'm not even going to try Fred with that because he's not that. Yeah. He's not that kind of dude. So I'm not even going to, every now and again, of course, but there's plenty of times, guys, they come in, hey, why don't we just start doing this? And got to a point where I'm like, well, hell, maybe I should. What if I did? But it was just like, I don't know, in a weird way, this may kind of sound weird, but I felt like for the most part growing up, I don't know how to say it, but my mentality was almost like childlike. Like I felt like everything, I just couldn't do a bunch of stuff. I'm just like, hey, I just know how to do this. I just know how to play football. I don't know, the way. So I feel like sometimes me being sheltered helped, but at the same time, I had to learn how to, learn how to communicate with people, learn how to, ask for what I want and just certain kind of different things. But growing up, yeah, my pops, he had me by the ear, like, nah, man, you're not doing a whole bunch. But just my insides, every time I was presented with something, I was just like, for the most part, people wouldn't even present it just on the principle. They see me at the parks, they see me here, they're just like, nah, like I'll do it, but nah, I'm not even going to present that to them because I know it's pops and they're good people. Even though, good people get presented, bad opportunities.
Right. So actually, the neighborhood actually helped save you as well. Because so what I'm saying is, like you said, most of your friends had that respect for you, not to even put that pressure on you. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly. No, right.
So Fred light skinned too. He know he bruise easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't hit us too hard without us bruising up. So he know his limitations.
Light skin was in at that time.
Well, yeah, come on now. We shouldn't mess at that time, man. At what time?
Oh, I forgot we got Shankle.
Hey, man.
Dog in the road.
And these. After the album, sure, Eric.
I'll be sure. Yeah.
Fred, I got a quick question for you. All right.
Man, welcome to the show,
man. The show, Christopher Shankle.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah,
Shank. And Shank.
Yeah.
You look cute.
All right.
Like my boy J High would say. My boy J High would say, J High, your boy shaking here looking cute.
Fred, I got a quick question, man.
Yeah, of course.
I can say something that's going to be familiar to all of us. You recognize the movie Boys in the Hood, remember?
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So your father was more on the kind of way of Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence. Well, we call him Larry.
Okay, all right now. His friends call him Larry.
Friends call him Larry.
Lawrence, okay. So with that, you remember when Trey got out the car?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same kind of way that you felt when you were pressured by your friends to do something that you knew you shouldn't have been doing, even though you thought that you had just cause to do it? It's just something inside you brewed and said, I don't think I should be here. So you left that situation.
Absolutely.
Could you share with us a situation that you felt, I might need to get out the car?
Too many times. Again, I feel like a lot of growing up in that environment, it's very easy to become a product of the environment, right? It's easy to, because again, I feel like whoever, the 5-6 people you hang around, you end up becoming just like them.
Right, go.
So
Yeah.
I had to, man, did I have to fight to, again, get away from people like that. Again, my mentality was so childlike. I didn't even really believe that you was dealing or you was really in the streets getting it in. I'm like, hey, I'm just trying to play football, man. Just a goofy kid. But I mean, I went to school with, there's a situation where one of my good friends, of course, dealing through school and stuff like that. And I'm with him and he has stuff in the car. And I mean, there was a bunch of different times. Honestly, I just really say that I was blessed by the grace of God to not really be in a true police pull us over when he got something in the car, whether it be the gun or put it on me, or even just, they don't care. Oh, y'all together, right?
Right.
So I feel like, I mean, there is a bunch of times though. I mean, there is a time literally in high school, I think it was my sophomore year, again, rolling around with one of my best friends, and he got a couple of, pounds in the car, and he's at the school dealing and stuff like that. And this is the guy that I ride to school with every other day. He picking me up. But again, not even understanding like, hey, man, you're putting me
At risk.
at risk.
Severe
You're
risk.
putting yourself at risk.
Right.
But you don't even care because you gone. I mean, you already rolled the dice. But I'm like, for somebody like me, I can understand why my dad, he would be so frustrated with me sometimes, because it's like, again, man, you don't even understand. Wrong place, wrong time.
Big consequences.
And it's like, they going to take me just off the principle.
Yeah.
Kid, they like, no, he don't know his rights, for one. For two, y'all together.
Right.
I mean,
right. So, man, strong story, man, about, your upbringing and the college career and how everything worked out there. So you ended up graduating from the university?
ended up graduating in 3.5 years.
Awesome, man. Awesome. That's a victory story, man. So that's a really big chapter of your life. And then after you graduated, right, you've been through a whole lot. It's like you lived a whole lifetime from childhood, just getting out there and having the fundamentals of football all the way through high school, college. You were able to graduate. Congratulations, by the way, for beating the odds, man, and sticking with it. So you graduated. And then, what does life look like then? Because you talked about going from chapter to chapter and recognizing those moments and saying, hey, I'm in a brand new arena. And so I kind of have to look at things differently. After you got the lesson that you learned by being on the football field at the university, and then college was over, you're not at the finish line, really. It's like one day you're at the finish line, and then the next day you wake up, you are at the start. You're in the starting blocks of a brand new race. So what was that like for you? Like, what's life been like for you after football so much?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to be clear, like me ending my college, my collegiate football career, I graduated in 3.5, and then I had one more year available. To make a long story short, my last year, I ended up injuries and stuff like that. And I feel like I kind of got the short end of the stick, which was fine, but it did leave a bad taste in my mouth. Again, back to, I feel like life is always about recreating and kind of vamping up. So I was like, I got to turn into somebody else now, because that, that first, plan A didn't really work out. And I started off looking for, where am I going to play my 5th year of football at? And me and my wife, we were like, well, we know Texas is cheap. We want to buy a house out there and kind of do the thing there. So originally I was supposed to go to UTSA. Didn't really do that. COVID kind of kicked off, but really I got it. One of my buddies, I was still in Hawaii, and he got into car sales. And he's like, hey man, I feel like you would be good at this. Honestly, I didn't even, how kind of simple-minded I was. I didn't even know what the hell sales was. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, showed up to the dealership, first month, sold 20 cars, made some pretty good money. And then that was when the full shutdown happened. And then basically I was like, we ended up wanting to go to Texas. So we moved to Texas, got to Texas. Texas is a little monster, because we started off in San Antonio. This is all during COVID. And then that's why it's also all about who you know. One of my good buddies, he connected me, with some of my guys that were in the RV industry. So I started off in San Antonio. It was still COVID kind of going on. We were only there for like literally a month, just figuring out what the hell we were going to do. And then I got a call. He's like, from my buddy Mike, he's like, yo, where are you at? Texas. Okay, I got some guys over here in this RV industry. You should, if you want to make some real money, you should, come mess with these guys. So we moved again to Dallas, Fort Worth, which again, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I was like, I know I can sell for one thing. So I got connected with my guy, Aaron, Derek, a bunch of guys, man, and just really took me in like family. And it sounds like it's going in the right direction. But I mean, I literally started in it was a slow process for me learning how to sell these RVs. So I struggled, right? It sounds like, it's kind of going in the right direction, but my first couple of months struggled. Honestly, it was kind of strapped for cash. And then
You wouldn't take none. No, I tried to give you some. You wouldn't take the money.
he definitely tried to help me out, man. Wouldn't take anything. But after a couple of months, I had my first pretty big month, and that was kind of like a wake up call. I got a chance to make, I believe it was like $25,000 in 1 month. And I was like, this is crazy. Really? I was like, oh, that means. So what?
Money motivation.
Yeah, man, came in there with the paint, the football paint on his eyes. He was ready for action on that next month.
Yeah, but let's get in the game. Nah,
it was kind of mind boggling because again, I felt like, I'm like, man, I just went through the college experience, had to fight my way up, claw, and now I'm in the sales arena, and it's like I'm back to square one. I'm back to like, he's kind of cool. He played football, but like it's all about the numbers. This is all like we got closing, we got top sold. We don't care about you play football. None of that matters. So again, I had to recreate. I'm practicing my sales, and as I started performing better, started making more money, and in the following year, I mean, got a chance to make some significant income, a high 6-figure income. And I feel like another pivotal moment in my life it was on my birthday, actually. I think that was after the second year I worked there basically, and looked up in my account and had over, $100,000 in my account at the age of, probably 24 at the time. And I'm just like, because one thing about how I was raised is just all we know is just all gas. Yeah. So I never slow down. And I broke down, started crying. I'm like, man, like at that time, had that much money saved up, bought my first property, and I don't know. It's almost kind of never enough. You're always kind of.
Well, it go back to your dad.
Yeah,
it goes back to your dad. So your dad instilled all of that in you, and that's the question I want to ask you. Why did your dad choose to be hard on you versus the rest of your brothers and sisters?
Maybe because I was the firstborn. Honestly, right? I think being I'm the first project, right? So it's like I feel like he. Again, at that age of 10, he was doing his own thing. He had like a music career and he was rapping, doing all that good stuff. But he literally made a decision in his life like, man, I need to start investing into my kids. This is my biggest asset. And he was serious. Like everything we did, he's like, hey, if we gonna do it, we gonna really do it. We not just going like, if we gonna do it, we gonna
gotta go all the way.
Yeah, we gotta go all the way.
Let me ask you this, Fred, because it's a lot of rappers out there. A lot of rappers out there. I'm with you on the spot here.
Yeah.
Was he any good? I mean,
he did his
like Curtis Blow did his thing, or like Tupac did his thing.
Hey, his rap name is Cool Whip.
Man, shout out to Cool Whip right now. Shout out to Cool Whip in the highest, man. Cool Whip. You know what, Cool Whip? We're gonna give you one last shout out for your career, man. Come on, Cool Whip. Let's get it.
Is Cool Whip got anything on?
Man, he too old for that, man. He hardly know how to use his smartphone. But nah, I'm sure somewhere. I don't know, but
yeah, man.
And another thing I want to ask you. Okay, do you have any kids?
No, not yet.
Okay, so will it be safe to say that you've learned something on how you kind of want to, raise your kids? Because now I want to say this in your dad's defense, because I feel and understand his method of what he was doing, because I'm kind of the same way on my kids. I'm going to stay on your neck. I'm going to stay in your face. I'm going to stay on you, and I'm going to push you. I'm going to push you to try to make you break. So with that method that your dad done with you, would you be safe to say that what you going to tweak it? Don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, the way your dad talked to you and did you, then he would say to your other siblings, if I cuss Fred out, why can't I cuss you out? So would you be safe to say that you would actually
Something similar.
Yeah.
Probably not to that extent, but I understand it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I feel like, I'm grown now, but I feel like I'm still healing from some of those,
Too.
yeah, honestly though, like, I think that's one thing that a lot of people really don't talk about is like, yeah, it worked, but I do feel like there's other ways to do it.
Okay, so we got a question from one of the people that's tapped in live on Facebook, and so the question is, since we're right here, it's a great opportunity to introduce it. So, what would you say, looking back, right, to if you had opportunity to speak to yourself? Let's just say at pick an age. I think college is really important because that was a time where when you talk about it, you can physically we can see like in your eyes, like that was a really defining moment for you, right? So looking back now, just a few years, right? Like what would you tell yourself about being in that moment? Yeah. Oh yeah, come on with it.
He's at Hawaii right now. So he plays running back. He just entered the transfer portal. He's feeling kind of exactly like how you were feeling.
Man.
So not just what would you say to you, but what would you say to someone who's in the exact same spot that you're in? Like if you look him up, they just removed him from, from the right.
Yeah.
Because he's in the portal. So what would you say to you? But also, what would you say to a younger person that's experiencing what you were experiencing right now?
Yeah. Really, I think to answer that question, because I feel like we really didn't tap into like some of the, the mental side of college a little bit, but I mean, it's a whole lot that kind of goes there. But really, I think, again, it comes down to being mentally tough, right? And understanding, I think it goes back to that victim mentality, not saying that, the person asking the question, or your relative has that mentality, but the part of, the recreation that I had to make somebody else because who I was almost wasn't good enough to rise to that occasion, right? The Fred from high school, you have to become a different person. And I say that because so many people, they get wrapped up in all the stuff that they can't control. Oh, they just brought another kid in from X, Y, and Z school. Oh, the coach doesn't mess with. But literally in every single arena, it's always going to be that. So what, like, 'cause that's really what I did. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to transfer, go to this new school. And it's like, me and my dad had these conversations almost honestly every single day because I got a little brother in high school now. But I would just say it comes down to hustle, determination. It sounds cliche, but my thing is like, I never did anything special. I just never quit. And I think that's what it's about, right? Because one of the things I'm a firm believer of, like, I believe the saying is like, what is it? How you do anything is how you do everything, right? So if you start okaying, okay, I'm gonna just leave because it's not going my way. All right, so the next thing you do, you just be like, well, yeah, like mentally, I feel like too many people, they feel like they have a choice. Why don't you just commit? Why don't you just look within? That's what I started doing. I'm like, where am I screwing up? I'm not mad at Aaron for not playing me. Let me figure out why.
Yeah.
Is this guy truly better than me?
Yeah.
If he is, he is. But how can I be more competitive? That's what it's about. I seen that firsthand. Guys in front of me that I'm like, he's not even better than me. But what is he doing better than me? He's doing something, right?
Yeah.
Right, that I'm not doing.
Yeah.
So I think staying in the fight and not having that victim mentality, that's my go-to. Me and my pops, we always talk about that now. Like I said, I got my younger brother and he's in high school now. And he's always like, well, this and that and this. And I'm like, I like to I'm not going to sugarcoat it. After going through like a high competitive, community like that, it's like all that matters is performance, showing up, doing the right stuff. And then when you get granted that opportunity, perform at the highest level possible. Just make it inevitable. That's what I just come down to. Reps, volume. I'm going to just kill people with time, effort, and energy.
Right.
I quitting.
Right. So what are you doing now? We got through these transitions in your life. What success look like for you right now?
So company. So we specialize in buying holes and creative finance. So we do a bunch of different stuff there and really working on that. But it's pretty cool, right? When you put in the time and energy and you build these skill sets, what you're able to do. So yeah, we go to a bunch of events and network with people and, working on raising private money and stuff like that to build our portfolio up. So it's some real exciting stuff. It's another competitive arena for us for sure.
Can you share your name of your company?
Yeah, it's called
You can be reached at
Touchdown Investments. And then, if anybody's interested in buying or selling any properties, you can reach me directly at 951-227-5008.
Now, hold on. Now, so you're a married man and you on Facebook Live. These women gonna be reaching out to you, Fred. You got to filter them.
Yeah, Fred might be in some trouble.
you got to filter them through a website. Fred. I'm just saying right now.
Nah, Fred, you good. Fred, you good. You good. You got your head on strong. You good. You know your wife.
No, she will. She will.
So Ken, so let them know where we can be reached at, Ken, on the podcast. Well, we can be reached at.
Well, right now you can follow us on any place where you listen to your favorite podcast. And there's an counter. Aaron, that's one.
That's all right, Bubba. I got a few of them too.
Yeah.
And you can also reach us on social media, so Facebook, TikTok. We do have a website, www.rebuildingfuturesthepodcast.com, but we're currently renovating it. So just try to catch us on any place where you listen to your favorite podcast.
And what's the number they can call in on?
214-777-3626.
All right.
But I got one more question.
Oh, yeah. Come on. Let's shoot.
Fred. So, Fred, now that you say you've transitioned away from sports or out of sports as far as playing sports, what was that transition like, and what advice do you have to, my son still plays arena football, and so there's a lot of people out there that I think may be afraid to make that transition, where they're still holding on to the glory days. I still play basketball on Saturdays. Everybody wants to keep the glory days.
Yeah.
But how was it that you made that transition? Was there a specific point where you just said, okay, now I'm going to the next phase of my life? And how was it going to the next phase of your life?
Yeah, truly, it was a really, really difficult transition based on the fact that I think growing up, when you have your mindset on doing one thing for, 15 plus years and to not, quote unquote, not to accomplish that, I mean, I was devastated, right? I felt like, there was a point to where I was like, man, like growing up, I'm like, man, if I don't make it, you rather not even, it may sound crazy, but I'm like, man, I'd rather not be alive than not fulfill my dream. Like, that's how committed and serious that I was. But I think it also goes back from growing up kind of not being forced to label, right? There's a lot of people that grow up in these certain circumstances, and it's like, hey, your only way out, Fred, what do you want to do? You want to make music? You want to play sports? So I felt like at a young age, I was branded. And then as I grew older, I'm like, I feel like I didn't even truly know if I loved the game anymore, but it was my ticket. So I forced it. So when stuff did get a little harder, it was easier for me to walk away because I'm like, the fire isn't there. And once the fire isn't there, for me, I was like, man, I want to be in business. That's my new love. So it was a little bit easier for me, but I think it is difficult. I still got a bunch of buddies that are, chasing the dream, and I can't knock them, because you never know. But they also say the NFL stands for not for long, and the time span if you do get opportunity, it just isn't short. And I'm like, man, I want to start building, and I want to be a player again, right? I want to build something huge, and I just felt like that wasn't the direction. But yeah, it was tough because I felt clueless because I put all my eggs in one basket, and to wake up and it's just all over. Honestly, I was scared. Started reading books, read Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm like, I got to figure out, I started investing, I got to get some assets, I got to residual passive income, and started going crazy and was like, okay, found my little niche with sales. Okay, this is how I can make a lot of money. And yeah, that transition, it's tough for a lot of people.
So they got this thing, it's called self-talk sports psychology, right? It's exactly what it sounds like. So it says self-talk is defined as the verbalization of statements athletes repeat to themselves prior to or during skill execution, right? And I know that with how you think and how you get things done, that you have a method of sports self-talk psychology that you employ in your life. Like, what are some of the things that you tell yourself in the moment or in preparation for the moment so that you know that you're going to fire yourself up to go ahead and get that job done?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things, and I don't know if this is necessarily the best advice, but my perspective, and a lot of times what I'll tell myself is like, if I feel like I've underperformed previously, I feel like I can never be as bad as I once was, based on experience, based on, again, reps. I've done it already, so I won't take a step back. That's one of the things I always tell myself when I'm, not afraid, but, you got that feeling that you're not as confident. I'm like, well, hell, one thing that I do know is I'm not going to be as bad as I was before.
Got you.
Guarantee you that.
I got you on that, man. So, Fred, if there was something that you could share, just like Ken was saying, in line with it, to put a bow on your journey, and you were sharing it with someone, I got a real unique way I like doing this too. So I'm going to need you to just kind of vibe with me real quick. Rather than explaining your way through it to us, or explaining your way through it to all of the listeners, what I'm going to ask is that you participate in the exercise. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to speak to that one specific unknown person who may be walking the exact same pathway as you, and give them some sense of encouragement and correction and direction. Just let them know how you feel about where they are and where they could potentially be based on what you've done in your career.
Exactly. I like that. Yeah, I would, if I was talking to the person right now, I would
Talk to them.
keep showing up, right? Keep waking up every single day, understanding that the way that my perspective on life is this, it's like a roller coaster, right? And I would say keep fighting, every single day, and understand that you're going to have bumps, you're going to have bruises, and you're going to have things that go wrong. I think most people, they quit, when they have that first hiccup, or, they have that bad day, and they let it snowball and kind of get out of hand before, then it's a month, then it's 2 months, then it's a year. And then by the time you look up, it's, man, what happened? But really, your thoughts are your things, right? So the things that whatever you're thinking mentally, this is one thing that I constantly remind myself on, is if I'm thinking something negative, I understand that whatever I'm thinking, I'm the opposite of, because most times, I'll be honest, most of my thoughts, a lot of them are negative. So you have to, grab the bull by its horns, and like, I'm not good enough. And I'll say it out loud. I'm like, I'm the best. I know I'm good enough. I know I'm worthy. I know I'm deserving. But I feel like that's a huge piece in it, controlling your mental state, and again, just getting ahead of it. Because I feel like, again, with a bunch of social media, and there's a bunch of different platforms that have these influences on your life, but you have to, it's a one-on-one battle. There's nobody out there that can beat you other than yourself. So really be in tune with your mental state. And again, that's the biggest piece of advice, is understand whatever you think mentally. If it's a negative thought, you are literally the opposite of that. Oh, I'm not this enough. Yes, you are. I'm not, whatever the case may be, you're truly the opposite of. And again, your thoughts are your things. Whatever you think about and fantasize about 9 out of 10 times, that's who you end up becoming.
All right, there you have it. So the Rebuilding Futures podcast delivers you the Competitive Edge episode featuring Freddie Holley. We're thankful that you all took an opportunity to listen in to us today, and we're thankful to be able to share with you the success story, and also some of the struggles and the failures and things that a man had to overcome, because here at Rebuilding Futures, there is absolutely no limit to the person in this world that has the opportunity to rebuild something that's been broken down or challenged, or any adversity that was faced. And so we call you ladies to rise up, reclaim yourself, dust the dirt off, and keep on moving forward. So when Fred discussed with us earlier what he would do, is that he had to change his mentality every time he changed his arena. And sometimes he changed his arena to change his mentality. And those are things that a victor does. Those are things that somebody who can take a moment to step back, take an inventory of their life, and realize that something needs to change. Those are the practices of excellence. And so for all of you out there that may find yourself in a situation right now where you need to take a mental inventory of yourself, physical inventory, health inventory, our encouragement to you is to just do it. Don't waste time. If tomorrow you're going to wake up and you're going to be in the same situation or the same condition that you were in today, or you're in a worse condition than you were yesterday, why not take a moment today Take the time away from the things that are meaningless activities and jot down on paper, because when you put it on paper, you make it alive. You take a mental thing and you make it physical. And when you put that thing into the physical world, you can start to stand on the things that you need to get done. So go ahead and make yourself a checklist. And as you check those things off that you need to get either in your life or out of your life, it'll give you a sense of accomplishment. But you have to set a realistic expectation when it comes to time. Set the expectation when it comes to time. I'll get these things done in this amount of time and work at it every day. I found out something about a year ago, and it's that perfection is for me, but consistency is for everyone. What I mean by that is that if I'm consistent, people can count on it. But if I strive to be perfect, I'm going to fail every day, because that's me striving for something for myself. It's always real good to show consistency so that people can count on you, just like we can count on the story that was shared by Freddie Holley today. We thank you for joining us at the Rebuilding Futures podcast, and we hope that every listener will tune into us next week. Thanks so much, and God bless.